Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in. Today, we're unpacking two entirely different lives to figure out the actual real-world cost of our choices. When you put these two stories side by side, it's wild. A really fascinating pattern emerges about how our destiny is actually built.
So, think about this for a second. What makes a person truly rich? Is wealth really just the gold clinking in your pocket, or is it something deeper? To find out, let's trace the intersecting paths of four pretty incredible individuals and watch how their initial, seemingly small actions spark a chain reaction that completely flips their realities upside down.
All right, part one, the seeds we sow. Let's take a look at these two diverging paths. Picture this absolute stark contrast. On one side, we've got Mansoor. He's this incredibly wealthy merchant living in a glowing palace, literally throwing these lavish parties just to show off his purebred horses. And when a ragged guy named Ammar wanders near his gates, Mansoor just uses all that wealth and status to publicly humiliate him for a laugh. But then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, there's Ramlal. He's wearing a torn kurta, sweating over a hot stove, frying up kachori snacks at a dusty railway station in Delhi. When a hungry orphan named Bablu comes up asking for food, Ramlal doesn't hesitate. He shares what little he has purely out of love, not asking for a single coin in return.
Now, it's incredibly revealing when you look at the gifts they actually give, because they represent the exact moral currency each man carries. Just to entertain his rich friends, Mansoor gifts Ammar a dying, crippled horse named Abtar. He literally considers the animal to be garbage. It's a gift given out of pure spite. Meanwhile, when young Bablu's mother tragically passes away, Ramlal doesn't just hand the weeping kid another plate of hot food, he brings the hungry orphan into his tiny, impoverished hut and gives him a permanent home.
Moving into part two, the hidden value. This is where we really need to look past the surface. This quote right here really hits hard. When Ammar is handed this crippled, literal skeleton of a horse, he doesn't blow up in anger at the mockery. He just accepts it, because he understands something absolutely crucial. The most valuable things are often hidden in the dust, just waiting for someone with the eyes to actually see them.
Ammar takes this quote-unquote useless animal out into the wilderness and step by step begins a complete resurrection. It's like a puzzle. First, he finds a misaligned horseshoe nail that's been causing crippling pain, and he removes it. He treats the diseased skin with desert herbs. He shares his own meager food, and slowly, under all that matted gray hair, this brilliant silver coat emerges. He even discovers a tiny hidden brand, proving this horse is actually from a lost royal bloodline. Ammar renames him Tyr, which means arrow.
And we see a very similar awakening in her other story. Young Bablu is happily helping Ramlal sell kachoris, but a customer named Shalini drops a harsh reality check on him. She points out that Ramlal is growing old, his back is bending, and she tells Bablu that education is quite literally the only way to save his adoptive grandfather. She hands him her phone number. Just like that horse needing time and space to heal, young Bablu realizes that true transformation requires a painful sacrifice. So in the middle of the night, holding only a few coins and a heavy heart, he steps out into the unknown to forge a better future.
That brings us to part three, the wheels of time. Because time, as you'll see, is the ultimate equalizer.
It's fascinating how time works so differently depending on the seeds you've planted, right? While our compassionate characters are grinding away in years of silent struggle, Bablu studying out there far from home, Ammar training his silver horse in the harsh desert, the arrogant merchant's empire is just steadily crumbling. Mansoor loses his entire fleet to pirates. A brutal disease sweeps through his stables, decimating his prized horses. Meanwhile, poor Ramlal is just growing older and frailer, waiting every single day at his cart for the boy who vanished in the night. And this brings us right to the brink of our first climax. Facing total ruin and massive debt, Mansoor's absolute last hope is to win the Great Desert Race and its huge cash prize. But his stables are completely empty of healthy horses. So, out of sheer desperation, he does what he does best. He throws money at the problem, buying this flashy, heavy, but completely untrained horse. On the flip side, arriving late to the starting line in just a simple woolen cloak is Ammar, and he is riding Tyr, the exact creature Mansoor threw away like garbage, now this magnificent, muscular silver arrow hardened by the wild. The desert literally strips away all illusions. Mansoor's expensive pampered horse bolts to an early lead, sure, but the deep sand and the blazing heat quickly exhaust the untrained animal until it just collapses, foaming at the mouth. But Ammar and his silver horse, no way. They move as one single unit. All those months of struggling through wild terrain finally pay off. They just glide over the sand without sinking, easily securing the 10,000 dinars and leaving the governor in absolute awe.
All right, part 4, the ultimate confrontation. The past is about to violently meet the present.
1. That is the exact number of immediate apologies demanded by a commanding officer. Just moments prior, a rich, arrogant customer violently knocked over an elderly Ramlal's food cart, throwing all his kachoris into the dirt. Ramlal's trembling, aged hands had accidentally spilled some hot food, and this guy was ruthlessly making him pay for it.
And right as the old man is on the ground, literally begging for forgiveness, a young man steps in, lifts him up, and delivers this line: "You will apologize to him right now." The arrogant customer tries to mock him, but the young man just flashes his government ID badge. Turns out, the officer who stepped in to protect the trembling old Katori seller is none other than Bablu. He's returned after years of silent, grueling study as a highly successful official, and he's finally here to rescue the grandfather who once saved his life.
Back in the desert, we get an equally massive confrontation. Mansour, desperate to somehow save his ruined business, walks up to the mysterious winning rider to try and buy the silver horse for breeding. The rider slowly pulls back his hood. It's Ammar. And when Ammar points out the tiny brand on the horse's skin, Mansour suffers the most devastating twist of karma imaginable. He realizes his arrogance literally blinded him to the champion standing right there in his own stable years prior. He threw away the very piece of quote-unquote garbage that could have saved his empire.
Which leads us to part 5, the true meaning of wealth. Let's completely reframe what prosperity actually means. So, bringing it all together, what is true wealth? It's absolutely not just piling up material gold. It's the presence of vision, compassion, and the enduring impact you leave on the lives of others. Mansour had gold, for sure, but he was completely bankrupt when it came to vision and compassion. Ramlal and Ammar had no money whatsoever, but their ability to see the deep value in a broken child and a broken animal proved once and for all that poverty of the pocket is absolutely nothing compared to poverty of the soul.
And the aftermath of these stories perfectly proves the point. Compassion literally multiplies into lasting prosperity. Ammar becomes a master merchant, but instead of building high walls to hide behind like Mansour did, he invests his winnings into building schools and feeding the poor. Bablu takes his adoptive parents far away from that grueling streetcar to a life of peace and comfort in the city. And Mansour? His massive marble palace gets sold at auction, he's left utterly bankrupt, just standing on the outside watching Ammar's successful caravans pass him by.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about the choices you made just today. Think about the people you interacted with, the seemingly useless things or situations you might have overlooked. Are you just building walls to show off your gold, or are you actively investing in the souls around you? Seriously, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Thanks for exploring this with me today, and I'll catch you next time.